Welcome to the ECOM Profit Podcast. I am your host, Laz Chavez.
And I'm your other host, Richard Telfeja. And today,
we're joined with the one and only.
Oh, I don't even have to intro you, buddy.
Qaaman, the guy from YouTube, college student, entrepreneur. You could call me a bunch of different things, but I'm that guy, Q.
Woo!
Yeah!
Nice.
I didn't think it'd be that exciting, but okay.
My shirt's already off.
Okay.
So, guys, Q, he's a good friend of ours, YouTuber, now day trader.
Whatever you want to call me. I'm a million things, man. I'm a man of many things.
He's a man of many things,
Yes.
many professions.
Yes.
He does it all.
Whatever you need to do to get through.
So I guess we'll start off. Usually how we do these, we just kind of like interview our
Right.
guest, kind of give you some questions to go off
Yeah.
of. So first and foremost, tell us a little bit about your background.
So, from all of you guys here, I met both Laz and Richard through college. We've known each other for quite some time now. And for investing, I really got into that because back in college, especially in my first few years, I became the president of the investment club. Stocks was always something that I liked because it was like a quick way to get money. But when I actually got into the stock market, it was very challenging because there was a lot of stuff you have to learn about margins. You got to learn about when's the best time to buy, best time to sell, and all of that. And I was really excited about that. And I always knew that I wanted to enter a career in that field. And one of the best things you guys have learned as an entrepreneur is you want to get a form of income that you don't have to be somebody working for a boss. You get to be your own boss. And that was one of the things that really got me into the investing market. And as far as YouTube is concerned, I was always a nerd growing up. I always wanted to talk about geek stuff that most people didn't care about. But then when I went online, I learned that people did care about it. And, you know, it's turned out pretty well for me.
All right, so we're going to start with the questions, all right, man?
Okay.
And keep in mind that a lot of people here don't know you. So,
Right, of course, yes.
So you started off, and obviously I know what you've done,
Yeah,
but
of
I'm
course,
still going to
yeah.
ask you just so you
Right,
know,
right,
so
right.
other people can know. I know you started off with YouTube.
Yes.
And then from YouTube, I actually didn't know that you went into stocks.
Yes.
Which that's pretty cool. I mean,
Right.
because you and I in school, we were always looking at stocks and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just pretty cool that you're doing it now. But can you explain first, like, let's not talk about the stocks. Can you explain how your YouTube career went from beginning to start? And then how did you get into stocks?
Sure.
What happened?
So what happened was when I was 17 years old, before I was making money off of YouTube, because I was really, really nerdy and I was like super addicted to Yu-Gi-Oh! Like when I was a kid. Like we all know like those days where we would like pull out our cards in the middle of class and do all that crap. And you know what? Could I curse on here, by the way? Or?
can do anything you want.
Okay, just making sure. So I would like do all that stuff back in high school just for fun. And I was really into like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively. Like I would go to tournaments and all that stuff. Then I was making videos about it, but I wasn't really getting any views. And one day I had this brilliant, divine idea. Why don't I talk about Dragon Ball? Something that a lot of people like. And I was maybe 18 or 19 by the time I started doing that, about a year or two later. And then next thing you know, I'm getting hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube. Don't know how, have no experience. I'm using this shitty ass Camtasia platform, horrible microphone on a laptop. And people are watching these crappy videos I did because I was just starting off. And, you know, it really like motivated me to keep doing it. And I kept doing it over and over again. And at some point, I monetized it, started making a very livable wage, and from there on, my YouTube career just shot off.
What do you mean by a very livable wage?
Well, when you're 18 or 19 years old, $500 is a lot of money. But then when it started getting to 2, 3, 4, 5 grand, you're like, hey, I could actually pay for school like this. Hey, I could buy a car like this. And then you start seeing, hey, I could buy a place to live. And I did all of those things. And it really helped me get through a lot of dark areas in my life where, you know, a lot of college students don't really have another source of income. And I was just doing it being a geek. And making money off of being a nerd is probably one of the greatest blessings you could have in life. I'll say that honestly.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
No, but yeah, that's pretty much my spiel.
So how did YouTube transition? I guess you did say
Right.
you focus on Dragon Ball and all that stuff.
Yeah,
But
mostly, yeah.
how did this YouTube with Dragon Ball Z transition to stocks?
Well, they're not really related at all. Stocks was always something I wanted to do for a career, studying finance in college, doing all those things. And I really got into stocks because when I was really young, my dad would tell me stories about, the stock market crash and how there's are easy ways to make money. And, as a human being, you always want to get the easiest way to make money, right? So what I would always do as a kid is I was always like looking up stocks and seeing it, but I never had the money to do it. And really, YouTube really just helped me have a side source of income to invest with. But as in terms of careers, they're not connected at all. It was always something I wanted to do.
Got it.
Yeah.
So this podcast is mainly about, I told you earlier, young entrepreneurs, people who are making money, not working for anyone. Which one so far, I know you've only been doing stocks for about a month, but which one do you think is better and why?
Well,
investing or YouTube?
I've been investing for about 8 years on and off. I've kind of stopped for a while because I needed to save money for other stuff. But with COVID, it was kind of the best time to like kind of get into investing again. And I'd say if I'm 26 now, I've been investing since I was 18, so close to 8 years on and off. That was pretty good. And for what I think is better, I think YouTube is great for having a side source, for having a hobby. But I think investing is best if you want to have a true job as doing consultations, if you want to get into the market, get a finance job. And I definitely think that with the knowledge you have from day trading and all of that, that's a job you can take to the grave. Because as long as you have money, you could learn how to turn that money into more money. And I think that's a great long-term skill. YouTube's taught me a lot from editing and, social skills and all the different things. And I really think both have helped me a lot in life.
Diving deeper into the stocks.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, how is it that you're picking stocks, and what's your
Okay.
what's your strategy? How do you say, I'm gonna invest in this? When am I gonna sell? Like kind of like the basics. When are you buying? When are you selling? Why do you pick your stocks?
So Laz, my good friend Laz. So this is probably in all the consultation I've done, I would say that that's the most common question I ask. Like all my friends, that ask me for advice or for consultation, they always say, how do you know what to invest in, right? And the best answer I could give is, it depends. Now, I'll narrow that down a little bit more for you, but usually when I'm investing, the first thing I'd always do is I always look at the last 5 to 10 years of the stock. How long has it been in the market? I see what the general pattern is. Is this stock generally going up? Is this stock generally going down? Then I look at more things like the PE ratio. For those of you who don't know, or well, you're business people, so you should know that. But PE ratio is the stock overvalued or undervalued? And then I look at that. I look if it pays dividends. I look if it's a good short stock. I look if it's a good long-term stock. And I also look at what the experts say. I look at trends. Like, are they more bullish? Are they more bearish? And the most important thing, the number one thing that I decide when I'm investing in a stock is, what type of a company is this? What type of business is this? And that's the most important thing when you're investing, in my opinion at least, because when you look at the market that a particular company is in, you have to identify who their competitors are and who has a competitive advantage. So if you're looking at resorts, if you compare Disney to SeaWorld or Cedar Rapids or all of that, Disney has a large economic moat over its competitors, you know what I mean? And Disney is at the top of the food chain. And you also want to see the underdogs that are rising to compete with people. So do I invest in Uber or do I invest in Lyft? And it's usually those things that help you narrow down. You don't want to have a little mom and pop shop that's like the 10th of the market. You want to have something that's strong in the market, or somebody who's low that can rise up. And most importantly, you want to have a stock that has some type of business that's new, that's very innovative, completely fresh. And by doing something like that, you can invest in that next great stock that'll make you a millionaire. So that's usually how I do the rundowns.
So with what you just said, that you're looking for stocks that are like
very innovative,
innovative, changing things. I've heard a lot of people talk about, they invest in stocks that are like disruptive to the market.
Right, of course.
And there's people who invest, like I think Warren Buffett is one of them, that they invest in like things not changing.
Yes.
They're just looking for stocks that will continue to grow, that they're not really like changing anything.
Right.
So you are one of the types that thinks that it's better to invest in things that are like disrupting the market, things that are causing change, evolution, technology, that type of stuff.
And most importantly, they have a good edge over their competitors. Like, for example, I'll give you a really quick example. A company I invested in, Cerence, the ticker is CRNC. It's a company that invents AI systems for cars. Now, you might think, well, who the hell cares about AI systems for cars? Well, you as the consumer, you don't give a shit what fucking AI you have. But for actual companies, they're looking to see what company produces the best AIs for future cars. And Cerence has a monopoly over that. So it's a business that most people don't give a shit about. But when you think about it, who has more money, consumers or corporations? Who can pump more money, consumers or corporations? And when you think about it, since corporations are much more consistent with pumping their money into the market, a stock like Cerence would be a great buy long term. So that's kind of how like you do your thinking, and you think of your competitive edge and all of that. And obviously stock charts, yeah.
So Quinn,
Yeah.
when I think about investing,
Yeah.
in our world of online education and
Right,
teaching people,
right.
when people teach investing, for some reason they
Right.
always go to Forex. I don't know why.
Okay.
They always go to Forex, and I always see it on my Instagram account, a whole bunch of people teaching Forex, but then I also see a whole bunch of people calling them scammers, like, oh,
Yeah.
you're not really teaching. And I remember that today
Yeah.
you told me, you're like, oh, I want to do consulting, but I want to do it on a very small scale because I'm not like all these other, you call
Right.
them scammy bitches on the internet, is what
I mean,
you said.
yeah.
So I want to know, like, how, at least for anyone watching right now,
Right.
how can they spot someone who doesn't really know what they're doing and who's not knowledgeable, and
Right.
they're like Qaaman said, a scammy bitch?
I think the best way to answer your question, Richard, is two things. I think there's a level of human trust and emotion that goes into this, because we're all human beings, right? We all can spot, it doesn't feel good in my gut. So I would say from a personal, emotional point, if your gut feeling tells you this guy looks a little fishy, he probably is. I would say that the best way to determine if somebody is legit is to see his track record, see what other people think about this guy, look and see if he has like some other source that you could say, okay, this guy invested my money, he's legit, looking at reviews and stuff like that. Or if he doesn't have reviews, most importantly, the number one thing you want to do is you want to see if the guy bets on himself. For myself and all the consultation I've done over the years, or even just giving advice to friends I'm not even getting paid for, if I am a guy that says, you know what, if I invest your money and I lose your money, I don't get paid anything, that is a guy that's very confident in himself. Because what that guy is saying, he's betting on himself that he can make you money. And if he loses money for you, he's saying, don't pay me a penny. He's not one of those guys that's like, you got to pay me regardless of what happens to your stock, because guys like that, they want to have that extra out. But if you're that confident that you can make people money, that's usually a genuine person. And that's how I am with my business.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's actually pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I've actually never seen someone do it the way
Yeah.
that you're doing it, they only make
You got to
money.
bet on yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. There's actually no one that I've seen personally. Maybe there
Yeah.
is that does that. Right?
Yeah, I'm that confident, and it's not to do with my stroking my ego or striking out like or anything like that. It's just really just the gut feeling, because I know that if you're not making any money off of the time and effort I put into your stuff, then why should you be investing in me? You know what I'm saying? And the point is that when I invest other people's money, I'm also investing in my own money, because if I do a bad job, I'm not going to get new customers. So it's not like I'm trying to scam you, because if I do bad, then I can't get future people to put their money into me. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
So that's kind of the whole building trust in all of this.
Got it. Do you have any other
Yeah.
questions?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I love these questions. Keep them
Yeah,
rolling, man.
so-
Keep them.
So Quinn, earlier
Right.
when we were talking, you were saying that you've invested in a few companies.
Right.
I think that I do a little bit of investing, but not as much as you. You're doing like
Right,
day
of course,
trading
yeah.
stuff. So you were saying that you've invested in some companies, and I personally wouldn't really invest in them because I think they're kind of high risk. And from other things that you were saying, you're like, oh yeah, high risk. And then with your thoughts on like dividends and all that
Okay.
good stuff, can you like just
Elaborate on
that?
All right,
Just
sure.
start everything.
Great question, Laz. So there is no set way how to invest. If I am investing in a customer, I'm not going to invest their money the way I would invest my money. And that's the number one thing I think most people have to understand, because everybody's different. If you're the type of person that wants to have long-term trading, I would invest your portfolio completely different, because if you just want to have good stocks that you could watch 2 or 3 years from now and have a couple $1,000s more, that's totally different. But if you're somebody who wants money right now, you have to have a more aggressive style. Like if you want instant returns, you have to invest in more volatile stocks that will give you quick growth. Now, the best stocks are the stocks that give you good growth right now and long term. Those are the best stocks, but they're usually really expensive.
Right.
And the thing is, most people don't have $2,400 to spend for one Amazon share.
Right.
So if you want money now, you have to invest more aggressively. And to answer your question about dividends, I think dividends are great if you're doing more long term. But if you're doing quick returns, they're not really the best because you got to wait 3 months just to get paid a small amount of dividends.
Got it.
So, you know.
Yeah.
By the way, if you have any questions, you can ask him too.
I do have questions.
Yeah, what's up, Ish?
Because I have questions about both stocks and YouTube. Though.
Okay,
is that,
cool.
like, too
Yeah.
much?
No,
No, go ahead, man.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the YouTube one.
Yeah.
You were doing it for the last 8 years?
I have been doing YouTube, let's see, if I was 17 and I'm 26 now, I'd say this December coming up would be 9 years. So I'm about 8.5.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were there when like everyone was getting paid a lot of money in YouTube?
Oh, no, actually the opposite. When I started off on YouTube, nobody was making money off of this. I was one of the few people doing what I did. The Dragon Ball community kind of exploded 2 or 3 years after I was already doing YouTube. So I got in like before most people did. Yeah.
Budokai Tenkaichi.
Dude, I was doing like before. I was doing like videos before Super came. When Super came, that's when everybody jumped on the bandwagon and started doing more videos. Yeah.
So I think YouTube did this thing where they stopped giving ads to people. Like everyone just lost a buttload of money. Were you
Right.
affected by that, or?
Well, and yes, everybody is always affected by ads. Now, certain channels, if you do more political or like more things related to more violent or more mature content, you're not going to get as much. If you have more family-friendly content like what I produce, or if you talk about investing, you're not going to really be that affected by the ads because you're not talking about terrorism and you're not talking about, you know, political differences or stuff, because those types of channels got affected the worst. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Huh. Okay.
Right.
So does that help with sponsors and stuff? Like you probably have.
Yes. Well, for my specific channel, the majority of sponsorships that I usually get are usually from the gaming sector or like the anime sector. So I would show off a product or talk about a particular company. They pay me X amount of money and then I advertise it for them. The more views I get, the more likely they come back, pay more, yada, yada, yada.
Solid.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now I don't know about the stocks.
Right, sure.
I used to be into this. I used to want to try to get into penny
Right.
stocks. Like there was
Oh,
this one uranium mining company.
Yeah.
That I thought was gonna take off.
And
I
it
was
lost
like
you all your fucking money,
I lost
right?
like $100.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
totally,
like
yeah.
14. Have you ever found any of those that just hit?
Penny stocks? No. Now, I did invest, and knock on wood, I'm going to not jinx myself here. So, just the other day, I found like a dollarish stock. I don't want to call it a penny stock, but I found a stock called Urban One that blew up for 500% in one day.
Oh my god.
But usually, with my investing style, right, I don't usually buy stocks that are over $100 a share. And because of that, I have to be cheap and I'm trying to maximize my returns. If I'm going to invest my money, I usually invest in stocks that all cost under $100. The only stocks I have in my current portfolio that cost over $100 are Boeing, Disney, and Microsoft. Other than that, everything's under $100. And the reason why is because the cheaper the stock, the more you can multiply the amount of shares you have and the more returns you can get. But at the same time, you take a much bigger risk in also losing your money. Yeah. So the thing is just that you really have to find that sweet spot of buying a stock that's not too expensive that you can get enough returns from, but it's not so volatile that I'll go from $50 to $20 the next day. Yeah. And finding that happy medium is where the bulk of my research and experience comes in.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So how do you feel about crypto then?
Cryptocurrency, well, I haven't dabbled too much into cryptocurrency. I invested like maybe $100 at most in Bitcoin, and it's gone up a little bit, but I think the cryptocurrency market, in my opinion, has sailed. If you had gotten into Bitcoin when it was like $200, you would have been like, right, like you would have been like much better off now, but now it's not really something that I see as a feasible market unless you're one of the miners yourself and you have like $20,000, like $20,000 worth of like these 10 mega computers that can milk money. Then then go for it. But the average person ain't gonna spend that much money.
Guys, what I
yeah.
see with crypto
Yeah.
is that it's so volatile that people are just making money on the
Right.
swings. They're
Right.
not making money on just
Right.
like buying and holding. It's just so volatile that they're selling short. They're shorting
Yeah.
the stocks. Is it stocks?
Well, I mean, I would say the currencies, but yeah,
The
I see what
currency,
you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
And to go to what you're saying, Richard, like you're talking about something that's really true there, because you would remember there was a huge bubble that was going up with
Yeah.
cryptocurrency. I believe it was 2015. It was at like 14 grand, and then it popped and went all the way down to like what 9 grand or something. So you know,
like 3, I think.
it was just it was something that just had its bubble, and now it's normalized and so expensive that unless you got a lot of money already, I'm not getting into that shit. Yeah, it ran its course.
What do you guys think? Where are we at?
Like 22 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes? Yeah, we
All
can go.
Yeah, take your time, guys.
All right. So, guys, I think we're going to wrap this up here. Thank you so much for coming.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Q, our good friend Q.
Q, Qaaman, Quinn, whatever you want to call me. I have so
Qaaman.
many names. Yeah.
Check him out on YouTube. His channel will be in the link down below
Yep.
in the description.
Appreciate it.
If you guys want to talk about stocks, I guess, where can they reach you?
Yeah.
I mean, you could if you have any ideas, or if you ever want to have any consultations, you can email me at QAAMAN94@gmail.com. I'll say it again, QAAMAN94@gmail.com. It'd be great if you put that in the description for them to ask if you want to do any consultation or any advice. I can do that too. And if you have any questions about YouTube, send it your way, or any business proposals, you want to do ads, sponsorships.
There you have it, guys. Qaaman, Q, Quinn. Thank you so much for coming. Like,
Anytime,
subscribe, do what you got to do. Peace.
Alrighty.